Hello, dear Reverend. How are you doing? Hello, the Mexican boy from France. Hello, Cyber LA. A long time no see, Cyber LA. He says, "Hey, Victoria, it's late, but I missed your broadcast from a few days ago." Uh, well, welcome, Cyber LA. Lagos 1H. Greetings from Colombia. Oh my gosh, so international, you guys. Colombia, very cool. Lagos. I want to visit there. One second, guys, sorry. Hey, it's Nani. Whoa, late night live. It's like those late night radio talk shows. Well, I wish, Nani. Those were pretty fun, weren't they? Um, CVS, how are you doing, Nani? CVS, and why are you up so late? I'm now on a Pacific time, so it's a little less late for me here, but you're on some kind of midnight run or something? CVS says, "Good day from Australia." Wow. Good day. How do you say that? How do you say that in Australian? Like, good day. Cyberlay, I didn't know this CVS, your username. I recognize you, but I didn't know you're from Australia. Cyberlay says, "I have been watching 365 Days today. Very hot movie." Oh, okay. Yep, I've seen it. It's a good movie. Cyberlay, let me ask you, have you picked up any insights about the female gaze from that movie? Because it's a great one to do that with. And I've actually been reading the book, haven't finished it yet, but it's a good one for female gaze lessons as well. So then V Lone Thug says, "How as a man I can heal my intimacy issues?" All right, V Lone Thug, can you elaborate on your intimacy issues? What does intimacy issues mean to you? Is it like a sexual thing? Is it like, an attachment issue? Like, are you avoidantly attached or something like that? Or, give me a little more specifics of what specifically this intimacy issue is. Apple1234 says, "Hello from the UK." Oh, wow. What part of the UK, Apple? And Jeff Hall says, "From Hawaii." Oh, snap. I'm so jealous, Jeff. My dream to live in Hawaii. I know probably Hawaiians don't like to hear that, but it's just so amazing. Which island are you from, Jeff? Bob Bill says, "Chad wants Netflix and chill, lol." Doesn't he always, Bob Bill? Nani says, "I'm all right. I'm at work and was watching a movie, and then a notification popped up. I'm like, 'Excuse me, lol.' And I've been listening to a podcast called Call Her Daddy. I'm behind enemy lines, lol." Call Her Daddy, yes. Beardo introduced me to Call Her Daddy. I'm not he actually listened a couple, like, he used to listen. So he and I listened to, like, a few episodes, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. But he's actually more of a fan, or, like, he doesn't listen to it anymore, but he was more of a fan than I was even. But yeah, I've heard it's a good one. Smartwater says, "Cool thumbnail." Oh, thank you, Smartwater. So anyways, guys, how's it going? What's new in your lives? Have you asked anyone out on dates? Have any of you had sexual relations? Um, have any new fears popped up? Have any new insecurities popped up? Has any new situation popped up where you're frozen, you're paralyzed in fear? Has any burning question come over your mind like, what the hell are women thinking when they do this? Why do women suck? I don't understand. Why are they such hateful creatures? Where are the virgins? I love virgins so badly. No, I'm kidding, guys. But seriously, anything and everything we can talk about. So let me hear it. Let me hear your dating emergencies and I'll resuscitate you if I can. So, let's see. V Lone Thug says, this is about his intimacy issues. It's like attachment style, I think, also sexual. But all in all, I don't feel comfortable approaching a woman, IRL, not because of anxiety or confidence issues, but like I am too scared to be vulnerable. Well, I actually think that's pretty vulnerable of you to like admit this because like that's really interesting, be lone thug. So can you elaborate on that? Like you're so it's not because of anxiety or confidence, but it's like almost like you're protecting yourself, like you're just too scared to make yourself vulnerable. That's pretty interesting. Do you think it's because like, approaching a woman is just so tied up in your self-esteem? Or well, what does scared to be vulnerable mean to you? Like what would be the worst that could happen? Like I'm curious, like how like if you did approach a woman and your worst fear happened in that you were vulnerable, like what would that mean to you? Like what would that look like? Like what kind of vulnerable would you be? I don't know, just can you elaborate on that a little more? I'm curious. So then hey, it's oh, different Michael. Hey Michael. What time is it? Well, that would reveal my location, but I'm on Pacific time, I'll tell you that. So I guess it doesn't reveal my location. It's almost 11 p.m. Eric G says, "Hey Victoria." Hello, Eric G. Wait a second, I skipped Sensei's question. He says, "Is it wrong to not want commitment with somebody for at least a year of dating so I could vet the person? Not just to sleep with other options, but to genuinely vet before commitment." Okay, so it's not wrong. I mean, if the other person is okay with that, then like you guys are both good, right? However, I guess you're gonna find some people who will be okay with it. Um, Hopefully they'd like still be dating other people and not just like focus on you for the whole year. But I mean, people do that. People like casually see someone for a year to vet them, and hopefully they're dating other people, like I said. But no, I wouldn't say it's wrong. I What do you guys think? I mean, it's definitely not wrong. Jeff Hall says he is from Kauai. Oh, I love Kauai. Kauai, right? How do you pronounce it? Kauai or Kauai? So then, Smart Water says how to get into rough, kinky sex at first. Okay, good question. First you have to know if the other person's into it. Are they kinky? Do they express interest when you guys talk about what you're into in kinky stuff? Do they express interest in trying anything kinky? Do they like choking? Do they like being spanked? Do they tell you like they like it rough? Like, do they say any of these things? I mean, like I've told you guys before, there's kind of like two ways to go about this, all right? I, you know, people who are kinky, people who like sex, they're okay with talking about sex. Okay. So you can just ask them, like, what are you into? What do you like? What do you fantasize about? All right. But people who are more inexperienced, people who are uncomfortable talking about sex, people who have been raised like in purity culture, oftentimes people who are, more religious or whatever, they're not really comfortable talking about sex. So you can do what the sex therapists say, which is give them kind of like a menu of options. Like, would you be interested in trying this, or maybe this? And they'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm interested in trying maybe like getting spanked or whatever. Then you can do that. There's also different like apps where you can kind of like you secretly check off like your interests, and then it kind of when you have a match, it says like, "Oh, you guys are both into spanking." And then you can talk about things that way. So there's different ways, but ultimately, you want to be communicating about sex. Okay? You want to be like cool enough to talk about it. Be like, "What are you into? What do you like?" They're like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." Like, "Well, like, do you like this? Do you like that?" "Oh, no, that's not my thing." These things can come out, but you sh I mean, some people do just spring it on people. I don't think it's really good, especially in this day and age, as people love to say on my channel. But no, seriously, there's ways to kind of like test the waters without talking about it, but you guys should be talking about it. Like, you should be talking about it. So, I don't know. Rough sex, you don't want to mess with it. You don't want to try something rough on someone. They're like, that, and they start crying, and you're like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "I didn't want that." And now you've gotten yourself into a whole mess. Okay? You basically assaulted the person, so talk about things beforehand. All right? What do you guys think? So Julius says, "Hang up more kinkier stuff. Should it always be after having normal sex a few times? I don't know how to have this conversation." Um, well, one way you can do it is kind of like dirty talk, like as you're having sex. You can kind of like, I guess, like read their reactions, like, um, but honestly, why not just ask like what you're into? Um, or if they have no idea, I like to say, ask them, are there any like movies or books or TV scenes that you find really hot? Because I want to watch them and like figure out what turns you on, because that's really hot to me. I want to go on a like journey of sexual adventure with you, like just kind of just talk about these things. Um, but yeah, you can do it through dirty talk as well. Like one thing, I don't know, I just feel uncomfortable giving you guys suggestions for just doing it without talking, because it can go horribly wrong. Trust me. Okay? Because like Beardo, sometimes he says he has some like ideas for this kind of thing, like, oh, you could just kind of like run your hand over their neck, and if they kind of like lean into it, then like you can kind of tell they like being choked. But I've had things like this go wrong too. So I don't know. I just don't really feel like telling you guys to do it in the non-safe way. But Eric says, I don't give a fuck if she's got a body count, just as long as we actually authentically connect. I only judge based off how she presents herself, the way she talks and acts. Very good, Eric J. Sex Positivity Award of the Week. Somebody, I forget who it was, unfortunately, on my last live, he said, you should get a soundboard. And I'm like, that's freaking brilliant. I need to get that. And I'm going to give one button on the soundboard to Sex Positivity Award of the night. So I'm writing that down for future. And Eric G, right now you're getting it. Hey, Nani super chatted me. Nani says, first of all, Nani, thank you so much. And he says, this past Sunday, I was security for a drag show, so a lot of LBGT. It was people. It was nice. So see them hyped up and so comfortable in their own skin. Yes, we could all learn a lot from the LGBTQ IA plus population. Could we not? Like, actually, the guy Dan Savage, right? Well, I recently listened to a podcast with him, and he was on Sex and Psychology, a podcast I like to listen to, which summarizes a lot of current sexual research, and it also has like different sex therapists on answering questions. So it's good to get like up-to-date sex information from. So Dan Savage, you guys know who he is, probably, right? Because he's like super famous. He was on, he's gay, and he was basically saying on this podcast, like, straight people do not talk about sex. Like, it's really weird. But every time like a gay person has sex, we are asking each other, we have to ask each other, like, what are you into? There's so much stuff you need to know. Like, are you a top or a bottom? Like, do you like this? Do you like that? And so that's like completely normal for them to talk about sex. And that's kind of what I'm trying to tell you. But, straight people, they like to avoid it. They like to just think, oh, right, PIV, like missionary, we got this. The woman doesn't come, the man does. Great. But the LGBTQ people, they're talking about sex. So we should be more like them, you know? But yeah, I admire the community as well. And thank you so much, Nani, for your super chat. Really appreciate you and your super chat. So, V Lone Thug says, yes, but I can sense the disconnection between my self-awareness and my actions. Okay, so it's like, you know why you're doing it, but you still want to do it, and you can't force yourself to do it, kind of thing, V Lone Thug? Do you think you would be able to give yourself like a challenge to like face your fears and just do it kind of thing? Like, or do you think there's no way you could force yourself at this point because there's just too much holding you back? Sometimes having someone like pressure us into it, like having a friend go with you and be like, you're doing it, can help us like break through. But I don't know. What do you think? Hello, Kuro. So Chuck says, wait, where am I? Damn it. There's so much in the chat I was missing. Chuck says, I would appreciate you and your boyfriend writing down what you do in your kinks. Even better to write down some of your routines, if that's the right word, so I can better understand the rhythm. It's funny, Chuck. The other day, we had a crazy sexual experience. And I was thinking, I should like share this like on my channel. I mean, that would be kind of like next level. I'm not saying film it, but I should just explain what happened because I think it would kind of like blow people's minds to see like what's possible. However, the thing is, we don't have like routines. That's like, in my opinion, the best kind of sex. Like, you don't want to have a routine. You want to have like creative, improvisational sex. That's when it's like fun and exciting and new and different and interesting and creative and fun. So yeah, it's not like a routine. So yeah, like the last guy I dated before Beardo, he was kind of telling me that. He was like, oh, it's so interesting how like you always like do something new and different every time. Like my last girlfriend, like we had a routine. I'm like thinking to myself, wow, sounds like super boring. Anyway, he was like surprised that like you didn't have to have a routine. No, you don't have to have a routine. But yeah, they, that's kind of like a sexual psychology term, like sex scripts, where you kind of like, I guess, plot out like how you want sex to go. Gives people ideas, I guess. So then Sensei says, I'm realizing that I shouldn't pursue women or sex until I have my own place and not living with roommates. If I want to feel dominant, masculine, and in control, it's hard to do that when I'm not living alone. Sensei, I have to disagree with you. I do not think this is a good idea. I will just give you my opinion. Of course, that's all I can do. But in my opinion, it's absolutely a terrible idea. You are... Who knows how long this is going to take, okay, to get your own place, all right? Maybe 6 months, maybe a year, right? In that time, you're wasting very valuable time you could be having experience. And trust me, dominant, masculine stuff does not come from living alone. It doesn't come from external stuff, really. Dominance, it comes from doing the dating etiquette right and knowing how to be dominant if she wants it in bed. Masculine, same deal. So, dominant masculine guys have roommates all the time. That's not what's holding you back. Please don't. This is kind of like how guys think, until I have a better job, I can't date women. Well, guess what? You're waiting to make money. You're waiting to like get more muscles. You're waiting 6 months, years, and guess what? People are getting more experience than you. You're basically getting less and less competitive, and you're getting less and less experience. You're feeling more and more insecure because you've been out of the game for longer and longer. No, it's not about living alone. Girls hook up with guys with roommates all the time. Okay, it's really not a big deal. They're used to it. So I completely disagree with this, Sensei. I have to be honest with you. So Stony Lonesome says, how to deal with a dead bedroom where she won't change. We've been dating almost 7 months now. Stony, I mean, like, have you tried sex therapy? Has she said, like, this is the reason why I'm not interested? But honestly, if she just won't change, you got 2 options. She agrees to open the relationship or you break up. Like, you can't live with this, okay? Why are you with somebody who's, like, refusing to have sex with you for 7 months? I mean, you guys can be friends. You guys can be best friends. You guys can go out to dinner, but you don't have to be in a sexually exclusive monogamous relationship with her. That makes no sense. Okay? If sex is important to you and not to her, if she's asexual and you have a high sex drive or whatever, you're killing yourself. Like, just break up or talk about opening the relationship. But let me ask you, Stony, why are you staying? Why not just be friends with her? Do you have kids? I'm curious. Michael says, what he is saying is so relatable because I don't know how to express my feelings because I don't in any situation. Well, I'm not sure who you're referring to in the chat, Michael, but maybe V Lone Thug. He says, I feel like being vulnerable is out of control of me and just happens subconsciously, and I don't even get to play a part. So do you think you have like a fear of being out of control? Like you maybe think like, I should be stoic and in control of my emotions at all times or something? Like, I don't know. Do you think you got that message like from society, from your dad, like, and it's just kind of hard to snap out of that? I don't know. I'm just guessing here, V Lone Thug, but that is really interesting. And I do like your self-awareness there. So Eric G says, I know one way being vulnerable can be awful. You have your name and reputation slandered that no one bothers with you. I would know from personal experience, but that was a long time ago. Interesting, Eric. Brandon says, why do you think rates of virginity are increasing, divorce is increasing, and toxicity is becoming more common? From an objective point of view, most people tend to side with men or women. Well, I haven't heard this saying about like rates of virginity are increasing. Oh, actually, I have, like among men. Divorce is increasing. Yeah, I've heard little inklings of that. And toxicity, I'm not sure what you mean by toxicity, but my guess would be like polarizing information on YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that with the toxicity part. I mean, there's a lot of creators on here who are like very toxic, and toxic gets views. Toxic does well, rage porn like does well. So yeah, like highly emotional, extreme views do well on YouTube. Like, trust me. Okay. So yeah. Nobody wants to hear someone just like boring droning on. But like if you get mad, if you get upset, if you seem like emotional, if you paint some group as like a villain, this is like the oldest trick in the book for, getting people riled up and into your cause. So toxicity, I've heard, is on the rise because of like media that's kind of focused on faces, highly emotional, like visuals, basically. Divorce is increasing. I'd guess because kind of like women are working more, so they don't need men like they did in the past, so they have more like choice. to just be like, this is terrible for me. I'm leaving. And then Virginity, yeah, like my guess, I'm just, you asked me, so why not? I'll just guess. But it seems like, guys, they're kind of like stuck in their rooms, playing like games and not socializing as much just because of like the internet and social media and stuff. And people are just like not as social basically because we're all on our phones. And so they lack social skills and they lack dating skills. They lack understanding of women and they just don't have like the skills to kind of socialize and meet people. And that's my guess. What do you think, Brandon? And what does everyone else think? Oh, V-Lone got some good insight from Eric. Willie says, I recently realized that I am homosexual. How do I bring this about to my wife, if at all? I don't want to hurt my sons and fear they will hate me because my wife raised them to be conservative. Oh my gosh, Willie. I'm so sorry because this sounds like horrible dilemma. Like worrying about your sons hating you. But I don't know if you know this guy on TikTok who I follow, and I know Nani follows him too, or because he recently sent me a video. Maybe he doesn't follow him, but he watches him, or he has watched him, I should say. This guy's named Joe Court, and he actually specializes in this exact thing. Okay. And I've been watching some of his videos lately about this exact thing. So you've got to look up this guy. Maybe you can even get coaching from him. His name is Joe Court, Kort, PhD. And his whole page is about this exact situation. So if you could like hire him as like a coach or a consultant or a therapist, I think he would be fantastic for this question. Because he could say something far better than I ever could about this. But wow, I feel for you, Willie, because this has got to be very difficult. And that's so sad that your wife raised him to be conservative and like you're maybe not. Oh God, I'm sorry. But it's great that like you finally realized this, Willie. Probably doesn't feel great at the moment, but well, I don't know. How does it feel? So Stony says, we need to teach young men that it is okay to be horny. It is okay to want sex. I think it's stupid how dude bro culture teaches young men that you shouldn't even want sex unless you have someone. That's interesting, Stony. I didn't know dude bro culture was saying you shouldn't want sex. Like, is it kind of like semen retention? Like, what is dude bro culture saying about this? Because yeah, I agree. It's okay to be horny. It's okay to want sex. That's sex positivity, in my opinion. Thinking, sex, liking sex, wanting sex, that's not a negative. That's a positive. Yeah. Julia says, people like to blame women or men, but really the problem is technology and how we react to it. Explain that, Julius. Jack says, how should I handle being unable to move on from my ex cheating on me? It has been more than 2 months and the pain is still the same. I still feel betrayed and the wound still feels fresh. Oh my gosh, Jack, I'm so sorry. Would it just be so annoying to say like maybe therapy can help? But I don't know. Have you tried going to therapy, talking to someone about it? Maybe someone who even specializes in like betrayal wounds or something. Getting like a real expert opinion on that. I mean, 2 months, it's honestly not that long. But yeah, I know that some people, they can move kind of past betrayal, and some people, the pain is still fresh as the day it happened, like decades later. So I would definitely try to get some help so that decades later, the pain is not still as fresh. I'm sorry, Jack. So Sensei says, but that's the thing. I want something serious, not casual, and I prefer that in my partner. But how can we get into a relationship quickly without vetting each other first? You know what I mean. Well, that's what dating is. I mean, a lot of times people make a commitment to each other. They don't get engaged, they don't get married, but they say we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they vet each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. That's what boyfriend and girlfriend really is. So, I mean, I guess that's like that level of commitment is too much for you. Or is it, sensei? I mean, I don't think it should be. I think it's fine. Or you could just keep it even less casual if she's open to that, where you seriously get to know her, but you're still dating other people. So I think those are your options, but what do you think? Jeff says, just enjoying the presence and intelligence of women, but when is it good to request intimacy being together? I'm curious what you mean by that. Are you on a date? Give me more context for this, Jeff. Jellyfish says, first time checking in a while. Can't say for long, but I want to say hello. Hello, Jellyfish. I haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see you. Smartwater says, why do girls like it rough? Because choking, etc., doesn't directly stimulate the genitals. How does it feel that they like it? Okay, Smartwater. Good question. Good question. So basically, it's psychological. There's like physical genital stimulation, which just basically feels really good without any kind of psychological stimulation. And then there's kink. That's basically like the deep layers of our psychology that become eroticized. So why do girls like it rough? You know, not all, but some like it rough because it plays on basically I mean, this is one way to think about it. Okay, do we know the true causes of kinks? No. But a good model for thinking about it is it plays on the primal attraction to alpha, evolutionarily strong males. Like if you have watched a nature documentary, okay, you will see that in nature, many male animals fight for kind of like alpha status or whatever, and the women watch and they kind of get like turned on by it, all right? Because being rough, it kind of demonstrates power, it demonstrates like athleticism, it demonstrates kind of like assertive traits. It demonstrates kind of like grit and like psychological power in a way. So these traits, when they're demonstrated in sex, can stimulate a girl psychologically and turn her on because it's like, damn, I'm with a powerful guy. Same in nature. You know what I mean? Not all species. Some are very gentle, like seahorses or whatever. But a lot of them, like horses, tigers, lions, you know, buffaloes, rhinos, stuff like that. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Um, that's one way of looking at it. Okay. Another way of looking at it is they have a kink for, you know, rough sex might fit under like the primal kink. Or just you could just call it like a rough sex kink. And that's like their thing. For some reason, somewhere, oftentimes in childhood, that got eroticized for them. That's another way kinks can develop. Okay? Like they were in some situation in like a formative stage and they were getting like roughed up by someone and they felt like shame or humiliated and it all got somehow tangled up in their psyche and now they just enjoy that feeling of rough sex. There's many different ways kinks can develop, but those are two major ones. So CVS says, I don't mean to be rude, but do you think your opinions apply to the majority of women? For example, most women prefer the man to be in charge, but that doesn't mean they like hardcore BDSM. Well, I never say most women. I mean, what I often say is a lot of women they don't know what BDSM is, okay? They haven't looked into kink. They haven't researched it. If you ask them to define BDSM, they wouldn't know what it stands for, okay? But that doesn't mean that they aren't attracted to elements of kink and BDSM. Like in surveys of sexual fantasy, Like, the percentage of people who have fantasized about something kinky is like 90%. So that doesn't mean they have to identify as kinky. That doesn't mean they're going to Kink Fest or whatever. That doesn't mean they're going to Munches. That doesn't mean they're like posting on FetLife or whatever. But they might be reading book talk books, which basically are like BDSM light. They might be reading romance novels. They might be watching Bridgerton or whatever with like BDSM themes. I mean, these BDSM themes are everywhere. People just don't know like what it's called. They just think, oh, that's hot. And they don't look into it further. Second of all, I never say all women are into it, okay? But I do say a lot of women are into it, okay? So let's read your question again. Do you think your opinions apply to the majority of women? Well, I have like a lot of opinions on many different things. So, which opinions? But for example, you said most women prefer the man to be in charge. Well, I mean, that's not even that simple. Like, I wouldn't state it like that myself. But that doesn't mean they like hardcore BDSM. Well, yeah, I think I explained that pretty well because just because someone doesn't think or call themselves kinky or into hardcore BDSM doesn't mean these aren't the elements that turn people on. At what other level you're going to turn it up to on the scale, these elements turn people on. So I don't know. But Zai, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. He says, so I just got a girl's number yesterday, but I haven't reached out yet. I'm drawing blanks on where to take her. I don't know, maybe boba? Also, how long is too long to text call after getting a number? Okay, great question. You got her number. First of all, I don't know if you talked to this girl a little bit, if she's your friend, or if she was just a cute girl on the street. But the most ideal thing to do would be to take her somewhere that you think she would like. Like, for example, if she mentioned, oh my God, I love boba or whatever, like then you can take her there. Okay. If she didn't really mention anything, I would try to take her somewhere more romantic. Like, why, boba? I'm not really like an expert on this because I never drank boba or whatever. But it's kind of more like a cafe restaurant vibe. Why not take her somewhere that's dark, that has candles, that has somewhere you can sit like next to each other, like a bar, a wine bar, somewhere. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're like not drinking age, but that it's hard to develop chemistry in a brightly lit restaurant in which you are forced to sit across from each other. I mean, if you guys really have amazing chemistry, fine, you're going to make it happen anywhere, right? But you're kind of setting yourself up for a difficult road when you could have the ambiance created for you by a professional interior designer. So consider that. Consider taking her somewhere that's more romantic, where you could get a drink, which would loosen things up and allow chemistry to flourish. And your second part of the question, also, how long is too long to text call after getting a number? Maybe like, well, first of all, there's no hard and fast rule about this. Like, you could, if it came to this, you could text her like 3 years later. All right. I'm not saying it would be smart, but you could. Okay. And guys do things like that. They're popping up in girls' phones years after they last texted and stuff. However, I think within 3 days would be a good time frame. I mean, I think like the next day would be good, but anywhere from like 1 to 3 days, I would say is like expected. Okay. You could text her that day, but sometimes it might be good just make her wonder a little, be like, oh, is he gonna text me? So that can kind of help. But 1 to 3 days, I'd say like a week max, but there really is no max, okay? But why wouldn't you try to just do it like soon? But yeah, I've just seen a lot of guys like hung up on this kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's just like been too long. It would be so weird if I just like pop up in her phone again. No, it's not. Guys are doing it nonstop. You could be one of them. You should be one of them. But anyway, Zai, great question. What do you think of my answer? What are you planning to do? Let me know what you think. And thank you so much again for your super chat. Super nice of you. So, Lagos Juan says, I know a woman who I used to work with 2 years ago. I find her very attractive. Even I would like to build a future with her. But I want to get my career together first before I start dating. We're 20s. Again, Lagos, I don't think it's a good idea. While you're getting your career together, some other guy who has no career, all right, no job, he's going to make a move and you might miss out on your chance. So I wouldn't wait on these things. Okay. Just a bearded guy says that is a hero. Okay. He says pleasure is not in the genitals, but the mind actually. Well, kind of both, right? Bearded guy, or is pleasure really not in the genitals? That'd be interesting. So Julie says, smart water, it's a submission thing. They get off on the feeling of losing control. It's a high. I don't really agree with that. That is kind of like the common narrative that people just throw about. Like, oh, guys, let me explain kink to you. It is so simple. It's just that women love to lose control. No, it's not that simple. But yeah, people love this as an explanation. I don't agree. It doesn't feel correct for me, but okay. It's a easy excuse for women because it's kind of like PC in a way. It's like, oh, well, the thing is, I'm just so in control in my life that it feels really nice to not be in control because I'm just so competent. I'm just so professional. I'm so hardworking that sometimes it's nice to just for a few moments not be what I am all the time. See, it's a nice, pleasant narrative about just how great they are and how professional in control they are. So it's like people like this narrative, but I don't agree with it. So Troy says, in my opinion, the best question to ask a female to determine if she is kinky or not is what is the wildest thing you have ever done or want to try? That's not a bad. I like that, Troy. It's pretty good. Especially, if it's not in your first messages on an online dating app, but like during a makeout or after you've had sex the first time. Yes, very good, Troy. Jeff says, talk, talk, talk always. I agree, Jeff. It's all about the talk. Smartwater says, are men affected by mental stimulation? Yes, men are affected by mental stimulation. However, sometimes like the physical stimulation is like mental stimulation enough. It's like, oh my God, I'm having sex. Who could ask for anything more? It's like, you know, maybe they don't like need the mental stimulation quite yet, but they like the mental stimulation when it's added. It can make it more intense when it is added for sure. And of course, some men are extra kinky, so they need their mental stimulation. But for a lot of guys, they're kind of like satisfied with just, I am having sex. Yay. So it's like not too complex, but what do you guys think? Julie says, but won't most girls be guarded about their kinks until later in a relationship? That's always how kind of happened for me. Maybe I'm not a good communicator. Well, a lot of people are guarded about their kinks. It depends how comfortable they are with their sexuality. But some people are more open about their sexuality and some people are more guarded about it. So, yes, for some people, it might take them a while to open up. But for other people, they might be comfortable, like dirty talking in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? The first time you have sex, they might be like, let's get this show on the road. So, yeah. But when you say maybe I'm not a good communicator, were you trying to get this information, or were you just waiting until later in the relationship to even talk about it? So Nani says, I study how they give compliments. It's very in the female gaze zone. Oh, amazing, Nani. I agree. I agree. Gay men give very female gaze compliments. I agree. I used to really like to go to this gay bar and go dancing there. And I always noticed that like they really know how to connect with women, of course, but yeah. Get to the point. Says, I don't know why you pop up on my feed, but I'm enjoying your content. Oh, okay, very good. Get to the point. That's great. Thank you. Julia says, lol, all the men in this chat understood choking very well. They did, Julius? Okay, says, help. Okay, with what? My girlfriend constantly wakes me up by pegging me. Okay. So Eric says, I'm the one who suggested soundboard. Lol. Oh, Eric, it's a fantastic idea. I've been thinking about it. Thank you so much for suggesting that. My mind's been running amok with all the possibilities there. I'm like, I got to get one. So that was a fantastic idea, Eric. Thank you. So WTF am I watching this? A female friend of mine recently broke up with her boyfriend and she's giving me these lonely vibes. Could they be sexual? Well, you're falling into the green light man trap. WTF am I watching? See, players don't think like this. Players don't think, could a woman be wanting to jump on my dick? Could a woman be thinking, like, oh, I want him so bad? Could a woman be desiring me so greatly because I am this hot? No. Players think, I don't, she's single, she's lonely. Let me try to create chemistry with her by inviting her out. They don't wait to be desired. They make desire in her happen. Do you see the difference? So this is a very common error guys make. So Smartwater says, give us some dirty talk dialects for video. All right. Let's see. What would be like a good place to start? I wrote out a whole page on this, but a good thing you can start with is when like you're making out, just be like, you're so fucking gorgeous. I want to fuck you so bad. And just say it with a lot of like, say it with all the passion that like you really mean, that you really feel in the moment. All right. That's a good level 1 on a scale of like 1 to 10 dirty talk. Just start off with that, showing how much you desire her, not being afraid to talk about how hot she is, how much you want her, how much you desire her. All right, that's level 1 on the dirty talk scale. And trust me, it gets a lot crazier. So CVS says, do you think guys are going to start relying on an AI like ChatGPT to talk to girls? You know, I've been thinking, CVS, like, they're it's bound to happen, right? I think they are, no doubt. You know, ChatGPT is definitely going to do it better than most guys' instincts, in my opinion. So yeah, no doubt. Does anyone know if it's already out there yet? Sensei says, guys, be honest. I want to be the leader and masculine in my relationship/dating life. I don't feel like I'm leading when I live with roommates. Should I pursue this shit when I have my own place instead? Well, you already heard my opinion, Sensei, but I'll let you get it from the chat. But you know what I think. So, Stony. Wait, where did I go? Where did the chat go? Damn it. Oh no, I'm so far up in this chat. So Stony says, tips on, wait. Okay. Stony says, it's hard for straight men to talk about sex because male attraction to women is viewed as predatory and problematic, and the desire to have sex with women is seen as bad. Yes, you have to talk about sex at the appropriate times. You know, you can't, it is problematic, you know, to a lot of women if you just start talking about it. Like you wouldn't just go up to someone at work and start talking about sex with them, or you wouldn't just go up to a stranger on the street and start talking about how horny you are. yes, this is just kind of like basic social etiquette. It is predatory and problematic to just start doing that to people. However, on a date, when you have talked, when you have got to know someone, when you have tried to create chemistry and they're into it, they're attracted to you, and then you start making out and then you start talking about it, that is like the appropriate time. So, yes, it is okay to be horny. Yes, it is okay to like sex, but you have to be discerning and not just be like, hello, would anyone like to see my dick? I have a picture. I'll send it to you. That is not something women will like. Okay. But that doesn't mean that it's bad to want to take a picture of your dick or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just there's a time and a place, and you have to be aware of that. So Wedge says, not sure if this is a dating emergency, but I'm trying to overcome lust. Any tips? Well, Wedge, I don't know why you would want to overcome lust. Like, you know, you have to give me some more context here about why would you want to overcome lust? I don't know if there's some weird situation here, but are you trying to like not masturbate or something? Because it's okay to masturbate. Like, it's okay to go to a sex worker. Like, there's no reason for you to overcome lust. I don't know if you're religious and like the religion is telling you like never masturbate or something, but really, give us more info. So get to the point says, my only question is a feedback is I make them feel like a woman has a man whole always feel like a man. This is perplexing to hear. I asked for an elaboration, but they just smile and shrug their shoulders. Well, that's a little confusing, but if your feedback is you make them feel like a woman, and then you're saying as a man, I always feel like a man. So are you asking like why would a woman say you make them feel like a woman when like you always feel like a man? Well, basically when a woman says you make me feel like a woman, it's kind of like a hyper feminine version of a woman. Yeah, in some sense, they probably feel like a woman, but they probably don't feel like this kind of idealized, hyper stylized, kind of like societal ideal of a woman. And sometimes people want to just feel what that feels like. Like, it's almost like this gender like euphoria, like, oh, it's so like finally I am being a woman the way that society tells me I should be a woman. So if it can feel like really good. And it's another word for basically saying they feel submissive around you, which is basically another word for they feel turned on around you and they feel safe to feel turned on. So if a woman's saying you make me feel like a woman, it's a good thing. So Logan says, was your boyfriend recently in Las Vegas? I don't know, Logan. Why did you see him? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Um, if you do, you should say hi. So CVS says, okay, so Stony says, tips on finding a girl who would be willing to date a 27-year-old virgin guy. I have a high libido and lots of bottled up frustration, so I wouldn't work with a religious girl who wants celibacy. Well, why are you trying to go for a religious girl who wants celibacy? Like, nobody should be going for this unless you're like extremely religious. I would see a legal sex worker. Okay. That will get rid of your bottled up frustration. That will take the edge off. And then you can start dating. I would also hire a dating skills coach, depending on how good you think you can do without one. If you think you do fine, if you think your social skills are good, if you think you understand women, if you think you know the basic dating etiquette, just start dating. All right. But if you're just feeling like, oh, freak, I don't even know where to start, you can get help. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, basically, you just want to do the basic dating etiquette correctly. And you don't want to tell them you're a virgin right away until you basically get them in your bed. In my opinion, this is my opinion. Other people could do it different ways. But then you can tell her once everything's hot and heavy and you're making out, all right? Because then she's going to be like, oh, okay. I guess that's kind of hot. Let's do it. All right. Yeah. Like I heard this TikTok today and it was kind of like this girl was saying, it was actually about like lesbian sex for the first time. It was like, it's like getting an entry level job. Like everyone needs experience, but how can you have experience if no one will hire you, kind of thing. So that's kind of the problem with like being a virgin sometimes. So, so Stony says a lot of young men jump to the conclusion they're not masculine enough if they're unable to get a girlfriend / get laid, and they feel the need to try to be asexual like a monk to prove their masculinity. That's interesting. Interesting point. So Eric says, I can't get women until I get a better job. The mentality of someone who thinks in series, one thing at a time, as opposed to thinking in parallel. Huh, that's really interesting, Eric G. I never heard this concept before, but I like that. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I totally agree. Juan says, I want to level up and, start dealing with women sexually. I naturally talk to women genuinely without looking for something sexual. There's a lot of stuff I feel to hold me back. Well, Juan, okay, like you're ready. The fact that you talk to women genuinely without looking for something sexual is good. Now you want to add in the sexual stuff and creating chemistry and creating flirtation, but let's hear about the stuff that's holding you back. So Sensei says, no, I get women now in attraction. I don't have the mentality of more muscles or more money, more women. What I mean is I hate living with roommates and I don't want to date someone when I feel that way. All right, Sensei, well, it's up to you. All right. We can't force you to do anything. If it really bothers you that much, you do you. So Stony says, I'm with her because I'm a 26-year-old virgin, autistic, and can't find any other girls who are willing to date me, at least ones who I'm genuinely attracted to. So I got confused with a few other people's stories, Stony. So was this the one who doesn't want to have sex, or I'm confused. So then Juan says, I sometimes think the women, even the ones I'm not attracted to, just can't stand me or something. I don't know. The ones that I talk to always say they had a different view of me. So I'm confused. So sometimes I think the women, even the ones I'm not attracted, just can't stand me. The ones that I talk to always say they had a different view of me. Okay, Juan, so I guess you're coming off, like when they get to know you, they like you, but you're kind of like projecting a certain image that is not good. Now, what image do you think this can be? Like, do they give you any insight? Like, do you come off as arrogant? Do you come off as rude? Do you come off as offensive? Like, what could they be not liking about your persona? So Nicholas Hausman says, oh, wait, 1 second. Hold on. Hello? Hey.
I just tried calling you the normal way, went right to the voicemail.
I'm on a live, so.
Oh, okay.
But how are you doing?
Well, I could use a cheerleader here, but doing pretty good.
Oh, you are? I thought maybe you were.
Yeah.
Oh, good job, Jones.
Yeah. 53 left, 47 get paid.
Oh my gosh! So you're almost basically making it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna take a bad beat to make me not make the money now.
Oh my god! Good luck.
If nothing too exciting and nothing too horrible happens, I'll always make the money.
That's amazing.
All right, I'll let you go back to your life.
Okay, good luck.
All right, love you.
All right, bye. Love you. All right, got some good news, I hope, from Beardo, so. All right. So, Nicholas asked a great question. What does it mean when my girlfriend says, I need you? I say it to Beardo all the time. I need you. I need you. I think at first he was kind of confused too, because he's like, what? And he kind of took it badly too, because it's like, oh, does that mean you aren't like self-sufficient and I'm not doing enough because like you always need me or whatever? No, it doesn't mean any of that. All right. It's very classic, like male error. All right. I need you means kind of like in the depths of the female gaze, like, I feel love and, like, desire for you, and I'm just, like, obsessed with you. It's a good thing. It means, like, you know, it's basically passion. It's basically like female passion could be, like, summed up as, "I need you," you know? So, this is a good thing. Don't take it personally, like, "She's so needy, she always needs me." It's like, no, she's trying to express, like, the depths of her soul, like, "I want you." Good thing. So, alright. Alright, let's go down a little. Melanated Enterprises says, "So, I met up with a chick, kinda was doing business, so I wasn't on anything other than business. We naturally flirted, had texted a week or 2 prior, so we finally meet up to handle business. As we're saying bye, she goes in for a kiss, then she ghosts me. What went wrong?" Okay, so she went in for the kiss. Did you kiss her back? Or did you kinda, like, reject her kiss? Because that could have, like, embarrassed her. And then after the kiss, was there any text messaging in between? Like, did you try to follow up with her, or invite her out on a date or something? Because she could be, like, embarrassed. Like, she tried to make something happen with you and you didn't want it, and she's kinda just, like, running off with her tail between her legs and ignoring you now, you know what I'm saying? I don't know all the details here because there was, like, a lot of details left out after this she goes in for the kiss, but you can fill me in, melanated, that's my guess. So, WTF am I watching says, "Do you think social media makes dating harder?" I feel like it makes it harder to, like, just go out and meet people, like, because people are just kind of more content to just hang out on their computer and, like, their phone and stuff, and things are not as social as they once were, where you just kind of felt, like, insanely lonely and you have to go out to meet people, you know? So, I feel like in that sense, it makes it harder, but that's probably not what you meant. So, Movement Chiconic says, "Why are all these videos getting removed slash hidden after the stream?" Sometimes I just do it because I feel like it, you know? Sometimes I'm, like, really rude to people on the stream, or I just argue with people on the stream nonstop, and I'm just like, "You know what? I don't feel like putting this up." So, different things happen on the streams, you never know what's gonna happen, and sometimes I just don't feel like leaving it up, so but I do leave a lot of them up, most of them. So, Sensei says, "I don't know, I'm in a weird spot because I wanna date, but I also get better results financially and with my health when I take a break from dating and focus on myself, so I'm just conflicted, you know." I understand, Sensei. Um, so just a bearded guy says, "You do contradict yourself so much, Victoria." Alright, I challenge you, just a bearded guy. Tell me how I contradict myself. Because many guys, they think like, you know, if I'm like, you know, it's okay to send a dick pic. They're like, "But I sent a dick pic, to a stranger and she didn't like it." You know, like, yeah, because I'm talking about maybe like in a long-term relationship or something. But hey, before I get all upset, let me ask you, how do you see that I contradict yourself? Give me an example. Eric G says, "To add on to this, your ability to seduce and interconnect with your ability to network with entrepreneurs, both avenues will raise your." Okay. Okay, let's go down. Let's go down. Star Matter says, "Girls need narrative, guys need vision." I would say that's fair. It's more than fair. Um, so ADV Rider says, "Love your channel." Thank you, ADV Rider. I appreciate that. J Gyro. says, I'm 28 and ready to start a family, but don't socialize. Online dating seems like my only option, yet my strengths, intelligence, financial savvy, wit, charisma, honesty, and energy don't shine there. Okay. So you've got a lot of strengths, but you don't socialize. And online dating seems like your only option. That's not your only option. Okay, I'm not sure why you don't socialize, but you could start socializing. If you feel like it's impossible for you to socialize it, you could hire a social skills coach. I was just looking them up. There's a lot of them out there. All right. If you have like social anxiety, so you don't want to socialize, you could hire a social anxiety coach or do their free stuff online and like learn about it. Okay. You could read, there's a ton of books about this kind of stuff too. So it's not your only option. Online dating is not your only option. Okay. Because I agree that it's not perfect. Okay. It doesn't work for everyone. So you've got another option, which is meet people in person. But for some reason you're refusing. I have to ask why, Gyro. So Azazel says, this girl is so obsessed with my attention, but don't text me back and don't want to date me. I'm perplexed. Why and what to do? Um, well, the fact that you said she doesn't want to date you, I mean, I'm going to need more information. I mean, does she want to have sex with you, but she doesn't want to date you? Does she just enjoy your friendship and you see that as so obsessed with my attention? I need more details. So, um, Fernando says, I've been in many DS relationships. Very good, Fernando. Ken Craig says, what strategies do you recommend for building genuine connections on first dates? Okay. I recommend asking genuine questions about her and getting to know her. A lot of guys don't ask any questions, like ask any girl. And I was on a lot of dates where the guys asked no questions. It was really odd. Okay. So there's that. Giving her compliments in kind of like the right way, which is almost like short, observational, genuine observations about her beauty, her style, her interests. And those two, asking genuine questions and giving genuine compliments, will create genuine connections. Then, in addition to that, you can create genuine chemistry because that kind of like solidifies genuine connections, in my opinion. You can get to know people sexually because that can be like a genuine connection if you do it in a genuine way. So you can create physical chemistry. There's like gunshots outside, so I was kind of like, what the hell? And you can do that by physically escalating, kissing her, making out, and hanging out at your place. Boom. Those are the strategies. That's what people do. Yeah. So, hello, Ashu 007. Hi, Victoria. Love from India. Hello. So, Audi says, you've said the major fantasies are ddlg, CNC, BT. Do you think every girl has all of them in different proportions? Well, first of all, I didn't say those are the major fantasies. Those are major fantasies, but I would say those are the major fantasies. Like, guys, it's just three things. All right. I mean, all right. Why was I nitpicking? But let's just say, those are three big fantasy categories: DDLG, CNC, brat taming. Yeah, those are big categories. Do you think, but those are not the major fantasies as if that's it or whatever. Do you think every girl has all of them in different proportions? No, I don't think every girl has all of them. Okay. People might be into one and not the others. People might be into none. People might be into all three. But yeah, it's going to be different for different people. So no, I don't think every girl has all of them. All right. That'd be, I mean, if she did, she'd be quite kinky. All right. I think probably a lot of girls have all of them, but it's like within each, these are big, big umbrellas of kinks. Okay. Like, for example, ddlg in the kink world, age play, they call it, right? You could be you could be into this kink from like any age, all right? Some people like to be teens, some people like to be like adult babies or whatever. Some people like to, just feel a certain age. Some people like to be kind of like almost taking more of like a pet play direction or whatever. So there's thousands of nuances and shades in every one of these categories, but if you just want to boil them down, they're good categories, all right? So no, some people like identify as brats, and that's like their whole identity. They're like, I'm a brat. I like bratting or whatever. Some people are like obsessed with CNC, okay? But there's an enormous range of CNC kinks, anywhere from like subtle violation of kind of like your boundaries all the way to like abduction play or whatever. So there's a lot of variations and range, and not every girl has every single kink. So let's just say that. Hello, Nate. So Audi says, can you talk more about a few fantasy scenarios, example for a girl into ddlg? Well, this is like a really common one. I mean, just calling someone baby, sweetheart, pet names, girls wanting to call the guy daddy, poppy, or whatever. Um, it's very common, okay? Being nurtured, being babied, um, almost like you'll see on TikTok a lot of times, like a girl saying something like, you know, things I don't like, guys who play hard, guys who are like assholes and play hard to get or whatever, guys I do like. And then it will be a picture of a guy putting on her shoes or like a passenger princess kink or whatever. Like these are all ddlg things that fall under the ddlg umbrella. So it's kind of basically this idea of like a older, almost fatherish figure babying, nurturing, taking care of the girl. And there's a huge range of fantasies that fall under that. But Zai says, thanks, Victoria. I'm definitely thinking of maybe a nice lounge with some good drink options. Good idea, Zai. Trust me. I learned that the hard way. So Igor says, I heard this interesting theory that BDSM is a nice way to explore losing control in a controlled environment. Yep, they love that theory. Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier. I don't agree with it. I mean, I guess it's true. Because yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, it is a controlled environment, and you can explore basically like very out of control, very extreme emotions, fantasies, impulses that could get very out of control, very abusive, very harmful without being in the controlled environment. So I guess I agree with you, Igor. So Audi says, can you tell what it was like to chat with bad boys who didn't care about you? An example conversation, please. Well, bad boys, okay, like guys who are like really high in demand, they don't act like they don't care about you. They talk to you like, you know, they're chatting with you normally. All right. It's just you probably have more interest in them, so you're kind of like more motivated to meet up with them. I mean, we have to define what like a bad boy is, but like one guy I'm thinking of, he was like dating like a supermodel and he came into the strip club and I was like very infatuated with this guy. I don't know why. I never met a guy like this guy before. And when he was chatting with me, like over text. It was very normal. It was very like getting to know you, you know? So Christian 250 says, "Hey, do you think I could at the same time work on my fitness while trying to date/flirt so I work on my game at the same time?" Yes, I do, Christian. I definitely do. IDK says, "Yo, where's she reading these questions? I don't see them in the chat room." Well, I'm pretty high up in the chat, so sorry about that. Let's go down a little. So I have to go soon anyway. Oh God, I really am far up today. All right. Sherman says, "Do you think there are women who value other things more than dominance? If so, what would they be? Tom Holland is with Zendaya, and he doesn't seem dominant at all. I'm a very calm person, so curious." I mean, you guys, I should take responsibility, all right? Because I use the word dominance a lot, but dominance, you could have dominance in one aspect. It basically just means that in some way, the woman respects and admires you and kind of like looks up to you. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. It can also mean like you take on this masculine gender role in dating. It doesn't necessarily mean you're aggressive. You walk up to people and punch them in the head like you're extremely macho. Like you act like Christian Grey. You act like the guy from 365 Days. Like it doesn't mean all that. So, Tom Holland, okay, there's probably like a million things that Zendaya admires about Tom Holland. I mean, the dude is like insanely good, insanely talented, like acting, singing, dancing. He's like very funny. I mean, all these things Zendaya probably sees as dominant, even though he's a nice person. Like, and he loves her and he respects her or whatever, and he's obsessed with her. It seems like. So yeah, like just don't get it twisted what the word dominant means. You know what I mean? Just think of dominance as more like having qualities that women respect and admire, that they see as dominant, because to them it's impressive. To them it's like awe inspiring. So being a calm person, you can be dominant. I mean, being calm is almost like a cliche trait of being dominant. So, but there's different ways to be dominant. Like, for example, my boyfriend Beardo, I wouldn't say he's super calm. He's more like an aggressive type. So there's different ways to do it. There's not just one way. Okay. So Fernando says there's already a Riz AI app. What's it called, Fernando? So Christian says, why does my friend that has 3 baby mamas and is average looks but is able to get lays often? Is it because he has a history and experience with women? When women hear he has kids, exes, does it? I mean, probably. The guy has good game. All right. That's how he's able to get women, because he understands women. He knows how to talk to women. He knows how to connect with women. Not because women say, "Oh, he has 3 baby mamas. I want to be the 4th." No. So let's see. Patty says, "What is your opinion on NoFap?" You don't need to do NoFap, but if it really motivates you and it's working for you, then I guess you can keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for some people, it really helps them, it seems like. So if it's working for you, just keep doing it. If it's motivating you to get out and actually meet people in the real world, keep doing it. But one near dog says, in the Call the Void video you posted, are these just some women who fall victim to the vortex, or all women can fall to being a slave? Okay, the vortex video, that's just basically about like, it's basically saying that when a woman gets turned on, she's not going to send you like a vag pic or whatever like you guys would do if you get turned on. She's probably going to keep it secret. You're probably not going to know. And another thing about when women get turned on is that can have like a paralyzing effect on them. And this is something that guys fail to understand because they think that, you know, I don't know if it's different for you guys, but like when a woman gets turned on, she can kind of fall into like a submissive state, and it's hard to speak up for herself, it's hard to set boundaries, it's hard to fight back, and so she becomes vulnerable in a way. And this is something that a lot of guys just can't understand. And they're like, "Oh, why didn't you like fight back, or why didn't you like say something?" Well, it's not as easy as you think, okay? Because you kind of get like a paralyzing effect. You get like a freeze over your whole body. So it's not just as simple as you might think. All right. Even Beardo makes this mistake big time. Like when he tells me like erotic stories or whatever, and he talks about women, he'll be like, and then the woman said, like, no, stop, like, don't do that. I'm like, yeah, but she wouldn't do that. That's the thing. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, she would. I'm like, no, she wouldn't. But he just can't really get that. So all right. Ruslan says, hey, great channel. Is it okay if I would slightly hint the girls I slept that I have another girls around me? Um, you you can if you want. I mean, it might backfire, but I don't know. Cyber LA says, how is Beardo? He's good. Filbert says, talk dirty. Okay. Be what it is says, take notes on the green lights when she interacts with them. Nani says, Vic, there's a woman that's making me pursue her and I can feel it. And I am pursuing. I complimented and she responded. And then I texted, I'm going to meet you one day. We're going on a date. I'm going to make it happen. My star student. Very good, Nani. And what did she say when you said that? But you got the attitude. You got the attitude. All right. You are in the masculine frame. All right. You are not going to be perceived as a feminine beta cuck. You are going to be perceived as someone who she respects the attitude, respects the masculinity. This is good. This is what we're going for. Very good. Oh, Nani says, just me and you. I'm going to figure it out eventually. I sent the text like that because she likes me chasing her, and I can feel it. And I can feel like, yup. Okay. Women love this. How did you get there, Nani? How did you tell us? How did you make this switch, or was this your attitude all along? But what did it take for you to switch from, you know, girls should pursue me like they do in like hip hop videos or whatever, where they're just hanging off me, to I'm going to be the pursuer. And from what all the red pill videos say, which is just like nag her and insult her and make her feel insecure and don't compliment her and let her chase you and say like, what do you bring to the table and whatever, to what you're doing now. Christian says, do you believe fat men can be sexy to women if he works on his charisma and masculine frame while also working on diet fitness? Absolutely, Christian. Yes. Women are not, I mean, some women are okay, but I say less women than men are like fat shamers. A lot of women, they're more okay with this kind of thing. IDK says, I believe you're the one person on the internet who most accurately presents the sexuality of men with women. Do you believe that the few men who are in tune with it are the least vocal about it? Well, vocal about what? The sexuality of men with women. Well, I do believe that a lot of the red pill guys, do I often believe they get women? Sometimes it's quite hard to believe. Filbert says, do not ever ask the dreaded body count. I agree. That will just telegraph your beta status. Mr. Booyah says, why is it so hard for women to accept things they don't like even when they are obviously true? Give me an example. So Fetus says, I know that this is a stupid question, but why would a guy that was interested in me for a while say something awfully rude to me after I tell him I'm actually taken, even if he says he isn't jealous? Fetus, are you a girl? Because welcome if you are. And second of all, I mean, this is very simple, okay? Guys do this all the time. Join a couple of Facebook groups like, I'm a nice guy, you fucking bitch. Or I'm in one that's like Schrodinger's woman. You're either like nice or like a fat slut bitch or whatever until whether you're rejected or not, something like that. Yeah, this is insanely common. So why would a guy who is interested in you say something awfully rude to me after you tell him I'm actually taken? Because they can't take rejection, okay? They don't take rejection well, and it hurts their self-esteem, it hurts their ego, and they don't know how to handle it, okay? They oftentimes are like at rock bottom, feeling like undesirable and have low self-esteem, and putting you down is like the one thing that makes them feel better in the moment. And if he says he isn't jealous, okay, yeah, he's going to say that, of course. But it's not about him being jealous. It's probably about him just feeling like his ego is hurt, okay? And he's lashing out. It's terrible, but they do it by the bucket load. So, yeah. Cyber LA says, Fetus, many guys have a lot of repressed anger that gets triggered by one of 100 different reasons. I would not take it personally. The guy needs to work on his anger. Good point, Cyber LA. So, all right. Oxener says, what do you think of hair transplant surgeries? I'm thinking of getting it. Oxener, you could get a hair piece, you could get a hair system, or you could get a hair transplant. I think it would be good for your dating life. Okay. It helps. Okay. It can make a huge difference. You don't have to get the hair transplant. You could just get like a hair piece, and then it doesn't have to be permanent or whatever. But it could make a big difference. You could get a lot better results. So Nadi says, understanding women more and taking the time to listen, having role models like yourself was a big indicator to where I should behave towards women. All right, this is how Nani made the transition. Very interesting, Nani. I hope other people read that. Filbert, pursue the chick. You will reap rewards for doing so. Yes, Filbert, this is an unpopular attitude here, but I agree with you. Christian says, thanks. You answered all my questions. How can I be more stern but not rude? I tend to not want to offend women at times. Well, that's kind of a tough one because it's like in which situation, you know what I mean, Christian? But Eric says, Schrodinger's woman. This is an actual name for real. Yeah. It's something like you're either hot or ugly, depending on whether you reject him or not. And then another one is Schrodinger's joke, which is when a guy says something kind of rude and they're like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I was only joking. And it's like, it's either a joke or not a joke, depending on whether or not the woman gets like upset or offended or something like that. Just Google that, Schrodinger's joke, because there's an Urban Dictionary definition that's better than that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Freedom Fox 1 says, guys are just more vocal about fat shaming. I don't think actual preferences differ much between the sexes. At first, I thought, that's a good point. Maybe you're right. But I could be wrong, but my intuition says, nah, there's definitely a difference between the sexes. I'm not saying girls aren't very lookist, okay? I'm not saying girls don't judge men's appearances, but I don't think they care as much about like fat. But I don't know. We'll have to look at like a study on that, Freedom Fox 1. Filbert says nobody takes rejection well. Yeah. Again, I think guys take it certain guys, a certain portion of the male population takes rejection the worst. Yes, there are some girls who take rejection badly, but I mean, literally every single girl has experienced this kind of guy that we were talking about. There's no woman who's immune from it. And I don't think most guys have experienced rejection like that from a woman, but hey, well, maybe that's because, more guys are asking out women and taking a chance at getting rejected. I don't know, but Mark says, finally, I can see you live. What secrets are you going to reveal to us this time? Well, Mark, I don't know. What have you heard? Be what it is says, get used to 95 to 99% rejection, guys. Focus and invest in your 1%. Not a bad attitude, be what it is. So Dave says, rock baldness. I've never understood caring, but apparently women really do. Yep, my boyfriend's bald and I like it. So some women will like it. Some women will be okay with it. But as, if you just want to get the best results in dating, you might want to maximize your appeal to like the largest group of women or whatever. Or you could rock your baldness and go that route as well, but yeah. Ruslan says, I noticed in bars and clubs that girls switch to sex mode from just maybe I can sleep with him vibe because of small things. Example, I said or did something in some difficult situation. Well, I agree. That's very true because behavioral traits are a big deal to women, unlike to men, basically. So yes, that could definitely happen, Ruslan. I agree with you. That could be the difference between you're attracted to him and you're not attracted to him. So Stockton says, does anyone notice women treat them way differently when you are in shape? Well, yeah, I mean, this is the power of like looks maxing. That's the halo effect for you. Like when you look better, people treat you better. IDK says, least vocal about exactly what you cover in your channel. The red pill men are off by a mile, but are the most vocal / popular. The guys who actually do get it, I don't feel the need to talk about it. Yeah, that's a good point, IDK, because it's like, if you have like a winning strategy, you kind of don't want to tell people about it because then everyone does your winning strategy and then everyone knows about it and then it's not as effective anymore. So it's kind of like my dad, he calls it like the law of ever-changing cycles. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you really knew how to be successful, would you just put it out for free on YouTube and have everyone like do it? No, you need like a niche, I guess. So, yeah, it's interesting. And I agree, a lot of them are off by a mile, but are the most vocal and popular. And, a lot of them, it seems like they tell guys what they want to hear so they get the views and they get the engagement. But But the hard stuff, which is like not fun and pleasant to hear, people don't want to watch the videos. So maybe they just play to their audience. I don't know. It's an interesting point, IDK. Like, yeah. And I agree with you because, like, for example, there's this one guy I met, and he was like fantastic with women. And he had spent 2 years getting like dating coaches and just like intensively working on himself. And I've met a bunch of other guys like that. Like sometimes they'll write to me and be like, "Oh, do you want to collaborate or whatever?" And I'll talk to them and they tell me like, "Oh my gosh, I've gone on this like insane journey and I've like focused on this for 2 years, like nonstop for 5 years. And I just, gave myself a goal of asking out like 100 women a day for like a full year." So they have like actual experience, actual skills. And yeah, they're not like popular on YouTube, which is kind of weird. So, yeah. So Harry says, "Do girls like thin guys or bulky?" Well, you should really check out some of these channels like this. I forget, I never know how you pronounce this, but like Coves, Qoves, where he kind of summarizes all the scientific studies on attractiveness and beauty. Because then you get like the real science, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, anecdotally speaking, like girls, sometimes they like thin and sometimes they like bulky, but I think like they like a guy who has muscles and kind of like a little bit higher body fat percentage than guys prefer. That's like what I've heard from these scientific studies. But, they can like thin guys, they can like bulky guys, but what it most like, I guess, this body type that's kind of like muscular, but not like super low body fat. So then Just a Bearded Guy says, "Why some women are intimidated by intelligence?" Well, maybe because they're not very, these women who you're referring to are not very smart and they're kind of like intimidated by guys who are smart. But smart women are not intimidated by intelligence, I wouldn't say. Like, they like intelligence. They want intelligence. They want someone who can challenge them. So maybe you're just kind of focusing on girls where intelligence isn't like the strong suit. So then Eric G says, "Key example of a bald man, Jason Statham, and he's married to a former Victoria's Secret model." Yes, but guys, we got to be careful about this because, you can always pick out some like exception, right? Like, I mean, the guy's like a famous movie star. He's like a famous macho action hero. Okay. And who knows about like his social skills and his game. Um, so yeah, just because like there's one famous dude who's bald and he's married to a former Victoria's Secret model doesn't mean maybe like it would be the most effective strategy for a guy to be bald. Like he might look better with hair and he might get better results with a hairpiece or whatever. So I don't know, don't let these exceptions fool you. I mean, I'm not saying bald men can't be attractive. Like I say, my boyfriend's bald. I think it looks really good on him. But I'm just saying, if you want to like maximize your results, you gotta like think about what's gonna appeal to the kind of people you want to date or whatever. So Dave says, "We're all beta. Why are we here?" LMAO, just kidding. Love you and thank you. Yes, Dave. Well, in my opinion, beta is just a word for a guy who does not yet have the skills to understand women and to understand basic dating etiquette, to understand physical escalation, and to understand like how to flirt. All these things will make a guy appear to a woman as beta, But I don't believe that, like, he is genetically inferior and he is born like a beta. Like, any of those guys with skills, with training, could change and become, in a woman's eyes, alpha. So, yeah, you might all be beta right now, but that doesn't mean anything. And I'm not saying you all are, but you're you're here because you're interested in learning. So don't take this whole beta alpha thing personally, like, oh, I was born a beta and I will die a beta or whatever. No, you will not. You will learn, you will grow, and you will improve, especially because you're actually trying to learn. So Stockton says people need to stop worrying about Chad. I agree, Stockton. You have no idea how many times a day in my comments I just get someone saying, be Chad. None of this matters if you are Chad. I agree. Everyone needs to just keep their eyes on their own work and take their eyes off Chad. So Mark says, what do you think are the main issues in dating for good-looking guys? Well, here's the thing, okay? Good-looking guys, yes, they have a big advantage, which is that women see them as in their dating pool. Women see them as passing the looks threshold from which they often pick guys from. All right. However, there's a lot of good looking guys out there. So they're in a pool with a lot of other good looking guys. And they still have to know dating etiquette and they have to know how to understand women, how to talk to women. And a lot of them, they're good looking, but they don't know any of that. They're just like bad looking guys. You know what I'm saying? And another thing with good looking guys is that they don't have to be in the masculine frame as much. They don't have to know game as well. They don't have to pursue women because a lot of times women just see a good looking guy and they're like, oh, he would fit perfectly into my dream life that I have like planned out on Pinterest. He looks just like the model in the photos on my Pinterest. Like, let me try to attract him. So they don't know, these good looking guys never have to basically be in the masculine role, have the masculine frame, pursue women. And so they don't know game. And then the women kind of start realizing that and they're like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He looks the part, but he doesn't act the part. So does that make sense? That can be another problem for them. A good example of that is Peter Weber's season of The Bachelor. And, okay, well, we got a super chat here, so let's, hey, Star Matter, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Star Matter, if you have a question, let me know. And I'll try to read yours. God, my internet is so bad. Let's see if Star Matter said anything else. Star Matter, let me know if you have any questions. Just copy and paste in the chat. So Mark says, how important do you think is planning the dates for a girl? Can you talk to us about that from the female gaze point of view? It's huge. It's literally huge. All right. Like literally the biggest mistake a guy can make in dating is being like super passive and being like, oh, let me know when you want to hang out. Let me know when you want to do something. No, most girls expect bare minimum from a guy who's texting them that he will plan a date. Time, date, and location, basically. All right, you can do a little back and forth like, oh, basically like, when are you free? And like, do you like Italian food or do you like sushi? Like, you can do that, but then eventually you have to come up with the plan. It's huge. That's like bare minimum in a girl's mind from the female gaze. She's thinking, this guy has bare minimum the business and professional skills to be able to make a date happen. If he can't make a date happen, if he's so passive that he can't even make a date happen and he can't plan it, how is he gonna like succeed in the business world? Basically, that's what they're thinking. So they're like, I can't be with a guy like that. Like, how is he a man? How's he gonna compete with anyone in the man's world if he can't even apply for a date? Basically, like, how's he gonna apply for a job if he can't apply for a date? Basically, it's like that kind of thinking. That's for like the female gaze. So yeah, it's huge. Igor says, if I'm not getting your name wrong, Victoria, do you know Brian Begin from The Fearless Man? He's one of the unpopular coaches. Love to hear you two chat. Yes, Igor, I know him. I know a lot of people love The Fearless Man. They swear by it. Okay. However, I did see some videos with him, which I wasn't loving. But I don't know. You could send me some more videos and maybe I'll watch one again. Are you part of The Fearless Man? Scrimby asked a good question. Do women even like Jason Statham? He's always the one people point to, but I've never met a woman with a thing for him. Well, I recently saw him in like Sharknado or whatever, and I didn't think he was very good. Like, or necessarily, I didn't think he came off as like attractive, but I think that was like past his prime a little bit, but. So Dave says, I just got my first decent Tinder match. I made a sick opener, but then she got bored after like 5 messages. Holy fuck, she was boring. I don't understand what she wanted from me. Well, did she get bored or was she boring? I guess it could be both, but you can tell me what you said. You could send me a screenshot and I'll tell you what went wrong. I'll tell you what you did that she didn't like. Or if, it's Tinder and she had a lot of other matches, so she just kind of got distracted. Send it to me, Dave, and I will tell you specifically what line you went wrong at. But this whole attitude of like, she didn't answer, so holy fuck, she was boring, is not a good attitude, in my opinion, to have. Like, just blame her, Like, instead of looking within and maybe something you could have done to improve, just be like, she sucked. I mean, maybe she did suck, but it's just not a good attitude. So be what it is throw game at the whole world. It's a stage and we only care about your masks. We are all one under the mask. Wow, be what it is. This is like Shakespeare. I like it. The whole world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Or something like that, right? CVS says, I feel like women prefer bulky guys because even though a guy with low body fat might look more like a model, chances are they're small because it's hard to be jacked and shredded simultaneously. I agree with you, CVS. Bulky is better. So, CVS says, Jason Statham is a fucking AAA tier actor. He's not the standard. Yes, I agree. Mark says, the differences in the sexes is one of the most fascinating thing in human existence. To think that only betas are interested in sexual psychology is so myopic. Okay. But I mean, is it myopic or does it make sense that people who need to improve at dating are the people who are mostly watching videos about how to improve at dating? I don't know. Is it just me, Mark, or does it seem like someone's triggered that somebody called them beta? But I agree with you, Mark, that people who are good at dating could always want to learn more. So there's no need for me to be rude. So sorry about that. So Chestiny says, wrong. Everyone can be masculine leaders in their relationships, but you can't be alpha/Chaz, so don't waste your time and energy. All right, this is an interesting approach, Chestney. Like, you will never be alpha, Chad. So just don't even try. Just bloom where you're planted in your beta garden. And you can do everything that alphas and chads do, but you will never be alpha or chad. Like, why? I don't really understand that, but okay. Harry says, can girls like very attractive but poor guy? Absolutely. Of course. 100%. So IDK says, you can look like a Chad, but if you aren't the kind of guy she covers in her channel, it's not going to be as good as the guy who's assertive / dominant. I'm kind of confused by this one, IDK. Mark says, amazing answer, Victoria, about the good-looking guys. Thank you, Mark. Dave says, thank you. That is so obvious, but I didn't even know that. Oh, that's great. Cyber LA says, great broadcast, Victoria. Have a good night. Goodbye, Cyber LA. Dave says, LMAO, no. I was on crack and sounded insane. It was totally my fault. She was still boring as hell, though. Well, okay. I mean, most girls on online dating apps are going to come off as boring because they want to be pursued. Okay. So they're not going to be giving much. They're not going to be doing 50-50 like you guys want. So it's going to come off as boring. So I wouldn't read into that too much. So then Igor says, oh, interesting. Not a part of the Fearless Man, but I held him in a somewhat of a high regard for somewhat of a common sense approach. Interested to hear what gave you such a meh impression. Well, I watched like 2 videos of him like talking to a girl, and he was trying to show like how to like flirt and everything, but I didn't think it was very good. But we'll see. If maybe, I need to watch some more videos before I judge. So Mark says, can you talk to us more about the planning the date? What would be a bare minimum good plan, and what would be an exceptional plan date, or what would be seen as too much? Good questions, Mark, but a bare minimum would be like, how about we meet at the blank bar 7 p.m. Friday night? That would be like a bare minimum plan. Then what would be like an exceptional plan date would be like something you guys talked about, and then like you kind of researched and found like a venue for it. So she's like really excited to do it. Like, oh God, yeah, like that'd be so awesome. And people can do other things like kind of like giving her like what dress code kind of like ideas or whatever, or just even doing like a surprise date. I mean, that's not necessarily good for like the first date, but for like a later date, you can just be like, meet me here at this time, like wear this kind of outfit. I mean, that's kind of like crack for the girl's mind. And then what would be seen as too much? I mean, you don't have to go overboard, like bring a gift or something like that, or bring like flowers. I mean, it might work for some guys, but you don't have to go like too overboard with that. So Harry says, do girls like big arms? What if thin arms and a good body? I don't think they're gonna be focusing too much on your like biceps, okay? Yeah, I'd say big arms are good, but if you have thin arms and good game, they're gonna be happy. So just it's not super important. You can wear like they're not gonna be focusing on that if you do everything else right. So all right, getting down to the bottom of the chat here. So Igor says, haha, okay, yeah, those demo vids are terrible. I cringe too. Yeah. Philosophy Junkie says, I'm picking the girl up and taking her to multiple locations. Very good, Philosophy Junkies. And he says, dress code, holy shit. Welcome to Philosophy Junkies. If you guys have been on my channel for long, you know I talk about philosophy junkies all the time because he is my what should I call you, philosophy junkies? My confidant, at bare minimum. So, yep. Welcome. Amon says, "Hi, I want to say your stuff really changed my life and truly changed my whole perspective. Amazing job and keep up the great work." Are you serious, Amon? That's incredible. Which part changed your life and changed your perspective? Let us know. What was the key, if anything? So then Thirsty Priest says, "My girl still has lingering feelings for her ex. She approached me first and I thought she didn't have baggage, but she's coming out and telling me this now. What should I do? Should I leave?" Well, by your girl, do you mean girlfriend? Um, because if she's your girlfriend, no, I mean, it depends on what she's saying to you, but, like, you don't need to freak out. You don't need to leave. Like, I mean, it depends on the situation, but it's kinda natural for a girl to still have feelings for her ex. So, if she's just kind of confiding in you and she's, like, opening up to you and being vulnerable, that's one thing, but if she's kind of telling you, like, "I don't know about our relationship. I might wanna get back together with him. Like, I've been texting him. I've been talking to him." Then yeah, you can say something like, "Well, why don't we take some time apart while you figure out, like, basically what you need to do?" And then this is like Dr. Burns, like, you date other women and, she's probably gonna become, like, more obsessed with you and stuff in the meantime where you're going, like, no contact with her. So you can take that approach, or you can just kind of be confident, be cool, be chill. If she's just, like, opening up to you about her feelings, then, it's not a big deal. Philosophy Junkie says, "I'm gonna try out that big arms, no game report back." Philosophy Junkie says, "Our looks maxing resident expert. So if you got any questions for him, ask him in the chat because this guy looks maxed hardcore." Um, CVS says, "What would be your dream date that you wouldn't ask a guy to do because it's too elaborate or too much of a hassle?" That's a great question. That's a real great question. Guys, I'm getting very tired because, oh no, I've been on too late, so I really gotta go. The time flew, guys. I don't know what I was thinking. I really gotta go. Philosophy Junkie says the title for him should be Lab Assistant. I love it. Eric G says, "Victoria, I want your unfiltered thoughts on this. How the fashion photography and filmmaking angles can be seductive to women." Oh, yes. Absolutely. Like, look at masculine poses. All right. Masculine poses. They're basically like telegraphing, like dominance. Like they got their arms behind their head, they got their legs spread, their man spreading, they're like just taking up space. Um, it comes off as desirable women, if that's what you mean, but I gotta go, guys. So then, great question though. IDK says a very good looking guy who doesn't have that manly sexuality isn't as desirable as a lot of guys think. I agree. That can add a important factor on top of the good looks. So, yeah. Dave says, "Yeah, dude, your stuff is fresh air for some of us whose fathers are dead." Oh my gosh, that was dark, Dave, but thank you, I guess. Is this a joke? Stockton says, "She will always have feelings for the man that first gave her an orgasm. It's a fact." Well, I mean, I'm trying to think like what guy first gave me an orgasm? I mean, most girls gave themselves their first orgasm just like guys. So I don't know. Like, it would be kind of like a rare girl where it's like the guy's like, "Let me show you your clit and how to touch yourself," or whatever, but most girls, like, figure it out on their own, but I don't agree with that. Oh, Iman says the attractive power woman have was the video. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Iman. And ask Fernando your BDSM related questions. All right, guys. Star Matter says, "Night dude, love your work." Thank you so much for your super chat, Star Matter. And I appreciate you being here, chatting with everyone and seeing your comments in the chat. Illyric says, Nostrum says, "Yo, I came here for linen sheets." Now that is funny, Illyric. That's hilarious. Okay. This guy has been like in the deep archives of my channel. Philosophy Junkie says, "Looks maxing is universally beneficial for heterosexual men." I agree. All right, guys. Why do women not, Club Gem says, "Why do women not care if they screw guys over, even if they know they will keep seeing the guy on a daily basis?" Well, give me an example of this. Like, what was the actual situation? Fernando says, "Most girls still have feelings for the man who made them feel the most submissive." That I would agree with Fernando. Okay. Because that's probably like the best sex. I wouldn't know because that's the guy I'm with right now. So I don't have like that experience. But Filbert says, "Her man gets the goods after her lives. I bet her pupils are pinpointed." It's funny to me how you guys always act like people on my channel, they're always saying, "Oh my gosh, after this video, I'm sure she got so turned on and they had sex on that bed." I'm like, you guys know we have sex like all the time. So it's not like, "Oh my gosh, this video turned me on so bad and I just had to have sex." Like, I have a high sex drive, so it's not like this crazy thing that happens like 3 times a year or whatever. And after I gotta make a video, I'm so turned on, I have to have sex. Like, no, basically get turned on throughout the day. So anyway. Dave, it was funny, but that was dark humor for sure. I liked it though. Moon is flat says, "Looks maxing. Are you joking?" Oh wow. This guy's in for an education. Nani says, "Good night, Vic. Be safe wherever you are. Thanks for the advice." And thank you so much, Nani, for your words of wisdom, your super chats. Really appreciate it. All right. Club says, "For example, a woman may take money from a man knowing he wants sex with her, but she decides to take advantage and play games with guys. They know." Okay, guys, I gotta go. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Let me put my consultation link. Oh no. I'll put it in the chat in case anyone wants one. You never know. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. It was awesome hanging out with you. All right, bye, guys. Club Gems, nothing was wrong with it. It's just I got so tired that I can't even read it. So I was just like, oh my gosh, my brain is not focusing. It was a great question or whatever. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful day, afternoon, night. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Philosophy Junkies, for stopping in. I just am so tired. Gotta go. Have a wonderful tomorrow. And what should be your homework for tomorrow? How about if you're texting a girl, plan a date with that girl. Don't just say, "Oh, let me know when you'd like to hang out." "Oh, we should hang out sometime." "Oh, do you ever, like, go here on the weekends?" Actually plan a date, alright, and see how it goes. Alright, bye, guys. Have a wonderful time. Goodbye, goodbye.